Hi, and welcome back to Musicians Edition Practice with me for Alto Saxophone. I'm your teacher, Reesa, and today we're working in the Standard of Excellence Book 2, and we're looking at Minuet and Allegro. But before we get there, if you haven't ordered your Standard of Excellence Book 3, now is really the time to do it because we are on our very last song. Okay, when we see what's next, it's all the other extra exercises and the scales that we had worked on. Okay, and you still need to continue to work on scales are for everything. Anywho, get your book 3, okay, because we have this lesson, tenor saxophone next Wednesday, and then we are on to book 3. That's it, folks. So make sure you get your book 3, and if this is already released, well, book 3 is next anyway. All right, so if you're looking for book 3, it's down below. It helps the channel out, so we would appreciate it, but if you get your book elsewhere, no hard feelings. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at Minuet and Allegro, okay? These are both pieces from our good pal Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. a classical piece, okay? And this one here particularly is written for a saxophone, alto saxophone, and piano, okay? So this is a solo piece. As you can see from the top, it even says solo with a piano accompaniment. So if you want to play along with the accompaniment, join our class on Make Music. You can get the piano accompaniment there. Play along, it's interactive, it's great. I really recommend it. It's you do have to pay, but it's like $30 a year, I think. It's really cheap. It's a great place to practice these things. All right, so anywho, let's take a look at Minuet, because it's Minuet and then Allegro, okay? So Minuet, let's take a look at it. Okay, so what is in our key signature? What do we have? No sharps, no flats, okay? Tell me about our time signature. 3/4, okay? So it's gonna have a little bit of a waltz feel to it. Tell me about our tempo. Andante, so this is a little bit of a slower piece. We're not going overly fast, which is nice. Okay, let's take a look ahead and see, do we have any accidentals, complicated rhythms? What do we have coming up? All right, main things now. The thing is, when we're looking ahead at our music, we don't want to take too long, because if we were given this as a sight reading piece, the judges don't want to see us taking forever to read it. Just want to take little quick notes. Like, I'm going to see, we have a couple sharps in there that are marked in. We're going to have some accidentals. All right, rhythm-wise, nothing too overcomplicated. I do see we have repeats, though. We have a repeat at the end of 8. That'll take us to the beginning. And then we have a repeat at the end, which takes us to 9. Quick tidbit things to notice when you're very first given a piece, okay? Things like that. All right. It might be just a little tricky, too, reading this. Not too tricky, just to take note, but we do see the piano part. So just make sure that we kind of pay attention to our lines and we play our part and not the piano part. If we end up looking at the piano part, that's going to sound a little funky, first of all, because we are not in tune with the piano. So it's going to be a little funky reading it. But also knowing the piano part also can help tell where you are, where you need to come in, that kind of stuff. So there's pros and cons to seeing it. All right, moving on. We're not hearing the piano right now, so not really important. Okay, let's go ahead and just play this, sight read it. We are going to do the repeats. All right, so let's go ahead and give it a try. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, excellent job. So you can see that it's not overly complicated. We have played harder stuff before. There are just a few things to watch out for, mainly like the accidentals and maybe some of those dotted quarters into eighths, things like that. But we'll break this down just so we're real confident about what we're playing, because the piano, if you look, it doesn't always play the same thing we play, right? So we need to be confident in what we play. So first looking at it, we have looking at 1 through into 4. This section isn't difficult at all. Just watch where your eighth notes are, because we have a tendency to want to play, if the eighth notes are on beat 3 and 4, when it comes to beat 1, we have a tendency to want to play quarter notes or half notes, something longer, right? But that's just continuous. And just to make a little bit more of a challenge, they did put the sharp right at the beginning of the measure, okay? Same thing with 3 and 4, right? So let's just play that real quick, nice and slow. Pay attention to our accidentals and just the eighths to the eighths. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So we can see da, 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 right? 8, 8, 8, 8, and we have the sharps right at the beginning of those new measures. Okay, so if that's something you're missing, circle those sharps in. All right, next, let's talk about the articulation. Okay, we do have some slurs happening, so like measure 1 is all slurred together. Da, into 2 we tongue. Da, da. 3 and 4 mimic the same kind of articulation. So this time, let's add the articulations in. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. All right, now we need to add in our dynamic. What dynamic are we supposed to be in? Mezzo piano, so we need to be a little softer. So this time, let's play it still with the correct articulation, and now let's add in the correct dynamic. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Excellent job. All right, we're now going to take our breath and move on to measure 5. All right, so looking through 5 to the repeat, okay? It's a lot more eighth note action here, but once again, this is a slower piece, so there's a little bit of time to think about it, okay? So take note of where your sharps are. We have an F sharp in 5, okay? 6, we have just the D sharp, 7, F sharp, 8, F sharp, okay? So it's really not overly challenging. Let's give this section a try. All right, we'll just slow it down so you can pay attention to the sharps and the rhythms. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, and don't worry about the repeat because we're only working on this section. Okay, so hopefully you get a little more comfortable there with where the sharps are and the rhythms. Just watch your rhythms there at 6. We have the 8th, ta, and then the dotted quarter, da, to the 8ths, which connect to the other 8ths, da, da. Okay, now let's also add in our articulations. Once again, we do have some slurs happening here, so watch where you tongue. ta, 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 ta. Okay? So this time, let's add in the articulations. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Excellent job. Try not to tongue and that slur 6 going into 7 and then those 8s through 7. That's all together. All right, now let's take a look at our dynamics. What do we have going on? So we are starting with mezzo piano because that's what it was before, but now we're going to crescendo up to mezzo forte. We're going to get nice and comfortably loud, and then we're going to quickly bring it down to mezzo piano and bring it back up to forte and bring it down to piano. So there's a lot of dynamic movement here. Okay, these are really important for solos. These are important for bringing that emotion. This is what's going to drive it. Okay, so this time, still with the correct articulations, and now add in those dynamics. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Excellent job. I probably could have crescendoed a little bit more in 7. Stretch that out. I kind of did it there towards the end. So just take note of that. I take note of that too. All right. So now what we're going to do, we're going to start from the beginning, play this whole first section, hit the repeat, actually do the repeat. All right. So from the beginning now, with proper articulations and dynamics. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Excellent job. So now we would take a breath because there is that breath mark there. And now we're on to 9. Okay? 9, there's not really anything overly complicated here. We do have a sharp in 10, F sharp. But take a look at 11. We are on F. But this is a new measure. So that is an F natural. So if you miss that, mark that in. Becomes F natural. 12 is also natural. New measure. No sharps, right? All right, so let's do 9 to end of 12. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Excellent job. Another tricky area might be going from that D to those Fs. And especially because it's slurred. A little easier if we were able to tongue that, but it's slurred. So you might want to have to take a little time to just practice that D to F. You know, try to make it as smooth, take it slow, you know, work out those kinks. All right. Fortunately, we don't have time to do that on the video, so you'll have to do that on your own time, but you know how to do that. Okay, so backing it up to 9. Now we're going to add in the articulations. Still got those slur actions, so let's add that in. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Excellent job. And now to even make it more challenging, this is in what dynamic? Piano. Most definitely our most challenging part is that D to F, piano, and slurred. Ay, ay, ay. But with practice, you can get it. All right, let's go ahead and do it one last time with articulation and now piano. All right, ready? 1, 2, Excellent job. Then we're going to take a breath because there's that breath mark marked in. And now we're on to 13 until the end to that repeat. Okay, so here, once again, just a lot of eighth note action, but slow, it's fine. 14, we once again have the dotted quarter going into the eighth, so just watch your counting there, okay? And just coming down on eighths, holding it out at the end, all right? We got this. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect, that's all that is, boom. All right, so now let's add in the articulations. You can see we do have some slur action going on, okay? Ta, 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 ta. You'll have to excuse my poor singing, but focusing on the tonguing there, okay? All right, so now add in the articulations. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Excellent job. Don't forget to not tongue 14 going into 15. That is tied or slurred over, okay? All right, last time, now we're going to add in the dynamics. Take a look at what we're doing. 13, 14 into 15, we're in piano crescendoing up to forte at the end, and then we're gonna decrescendo down to piano. All right, let's go ahead and give it a go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Excellent job. All right, let's take the repeat at 9. Going to 9 now, okay? And then we won't repeat. We're pretending this is the repeat. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, and we're cutting it there, and then that would be the whole piece. So why don't we go ahead and do the whole thing beginning to end? All right, with repeats. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, excellent job. And that is that. Don't forget, if you want to play along to the piano accompaniment, you can find that in the Make Music class down below. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at Allegro now, okay? So let's take a look at our key signature. What do we have? Still no sharps, no flats. Great, we don't have to think of another key signature. Take a look at our time signature now, though. 2-4. So our time signature does change, but not that big of a deal. It's fine. And our tempo is now what? Allegro. Kind of makes sense to put Allegro with Allegro, right? So we are going faster this time. Okay, let's take a look and see what we have going on real quick in this piece. What's something we might need to make note of before we sight read this? All right, that's all the time I'm gonna give us. So things we're gonna notice, there are some sharps in here, so we'll need to be aware of those. And 16th notes, those really stand out too. So don't panic, just know that they are coming up, okay? And there also were some repeats here as well. We have a repeat at, what is that, end of 12, which takes us to the beginning, and then we have a repeat at the end, which takes us to like that pre-measure of 13, which is a little wonky a little bit when you're counting. Just take note of that. It's funky. There's sometimes funky things written like that. All right, speaking of the wonky, we have the pickup, and that's technically what is that? 13, there's that one measure with just a quick eighth. That is just a quick pickup, okay? Look at the beginning, we also have a pickup, okay? And that pickup is on the and of 2, right? 1, 2, right? So, little things to take note of. All right, moving on. Let's go ahead and give this a try. I'm gonna do 2 measure count in, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, excellent job. So you can see, or even feel maybe, where those pickups are kind of a challenge when it comes to the counting and what we're seeing on the page. But we'll kind of talk about that when we get there. So let's take a look from pickup to 1 to end of 6, okay? It's mainly all about counting here, okay? So it's 1, 2, da, 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 okay? So basically, remember, we're coming in on the and of 2, okay? So then the next measure is just eighth notes. 1 and 2 and, measure 2. 1 and, resting on the 2 and coming in on the and. So it's kind of like how we just came in on the and, but make sure you rest on 2, coming in on and, okay? Then 3, 1 and 2 and. 4, 1, resting on 2, okay? And then just kind of watch your countings a little bit. 5, 1, 2, resting. 6, everything's gonna feel like that pickup, so it's gonna come back on in the end. So I'm not actually gonna worry about 6, we're gonna stop after those 2 rests, okay? Because the pickup goes to 7, so we won't worry about that right now. All right, so let's go ahead and just play the first 4 measures, okay? And remember, it's a pickup on the and. All right, ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, we'll stop right there, okay? So it's just hitting that pickup. All right, that's the key. If you're late on it, everything else is gonna feel weird because it's not gonna land on the right beats. So you gotta make sure you hit that on the and come off on 1. In and out, okay? All right, now let's take a look at articulations, okay? Once again, we do have some slurs. Ta, 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 da, 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 da. Okay, we have staccatos too, so make sure you're nice and short on those. All right, let's go ahead and try it again with the articulations this time. All right, ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. Perfect. All right, now let's add in the dynamic. What do we have? Forte, nice and loud. Yes. All right, so let's go ahead and play it again with the articulations and in forte. All right, ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, excellent job. All right, so now let's do pickup to 7. Okay, so once again, it's going to hit on the and of 2, and then we'll continue on. This was one I had to write arrows to where to go next because it's, next page and all the way to the top. So if you need to do that, mark in where to go. Okay? So we'll do pick up to 7 until the repeat. Don't do the repeat, just do the repeat. Okay. And then 11, 10, we have the pickup to 11, so the counting is still the same. Coming in on the and of 2, have those 16th notes. Okay? And when we repeat, that's when we'll talk about that thing. Okay, so pick up to 7 to repeat. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, and stop right there. Also take note, 7, we have the F sharp. 11, we have the G sharp, okay? Yeah, all right, this time let's add in the articulations. Okay, take a look at what they are. Okay, there's kind of a pattern to when we're tonguing, when they're not. So let's go ahead and give it a try. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, excellent job. Now, let's add on our dynamic. What is it? Mezzo forte, still a comfortable loudness, just not as loud. All right, ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, excellent job. Now let's talk about the pickup. Okay, when we look at this measure, it might throw you off right off the bat because we have 1 full beat, 2, but we're missing half a beat, right? We are. And that's because when we're repeating to the pickup, that is our missing 8th note, okay? So we're gonna wanna pretend that 12 is part of this pickup before 1. That makes up the entire measure, okay? So a little confusing. You might need to redirect where you're at or even write it in pencil for a ghost, something, okay? Because there's no extra rests to figure out where we are, what we're playing. 1, 2, da, and it's right back into it, okay? So you need to mark, that you're coming here. This pickup makes up the rest of that measure, okay? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start from the beginning. We're gonna play to the repeat, and we're going to repeat it, okay? And then we'll stop. All right, ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, perfect. All right, so moving on, now you can see in between 12 and 13, we have just that one measure with that G. That's going to be pretty much the same thing. This is going to make up for that measure, okay? That one just little pickup right before 13, consider it part of 12, okay? So it's gonna be the same thing. We're going to rest on the 2, come in on the end, okay? You can see we do have some sharps, so C sharps there. 16, once again, we're coming in on the end. 18, coming in on the end, okay? So we're gonna play up to that pickup of 21. That pickup goes to 21 and that phrasing, so we're not gonna worry about that last note. All right, let's give this section a try now. Pick up to 13, ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, and then we'll stop right there. It really is all about the counting. 14, 1, rest. 1, 2, rest. Da, 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 da. Okay, it's all about the counts here. All right, so now let's go ahead and add in the articulations. Okay, once again, they very much follow a pattern. Da, 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 right? So now let's add in the proper articulations. All right, ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, excellent job. We'll stop there. Now let's add in the dynamics. Take a look at what they are. We're going to start mezzo forte, nice and comfortable, but at 16, we're going to be piano, and we're going to keep playing piano. All right, so now adding in dynamics. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. Excellent job. I know it's tempting to play louder for 19. It feels like an area that should grow, but that's not marked in, so we're not gonna do that today. All right, moving on. Pick up to 21 to the end, or that repeat there, okay? Here, still coming in on the end. 26, coming in on the end. 28, coming in on the end. You can see the pattern, right? Good. All right, let's go ahead and give this a try. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, excellent job. And 29, we have that C sharp to D. So just take note of that, and it's slurred. Speaking of slurs, now let's take a look at our articulations. Same kind of thing going on, 21, 22. 23, we had that pattern before, towards measure 3, should feel familiar, okay? 27, 29, slurs. All right, and watch where your staccatos are, because there's also staccatos in 27 and 23, right? All right, so now adding in the articulations. All right, ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. Excellent job. All right, now dynamics. We're starting in forte, okay? 27, mezzo forte, and 29, forte. So we're going to be pretty comfortable through this section. All right, ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. Excellent job. Let's take the repeat. This is going to be the same kind of thing. You see we have a dotted quarter, right, which leads to 1, 2. Where's the and? The and is pick up to 13. Okay, so I know it looks funny, especially when we're counting, but there's that pickup that finishes off that measure. All right, so we're taking the repeat. Actually, let's scratch that. Let's do pick up to 13, hit the repeat, we'll repeat it, and complete it. All right, ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, excellent job. So I think we're ready to take this beginning to end with all repeats. All right, ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, excellent job. And once again, for the piano accompaniment on this piece too, it's also part of the Make Music class down below. All right, and that concludes our Standard of Excellence Book 2. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know down in the comments. While you're down there, don't forget to hit like, notify, and subscribe, and I'll see you over for Book 3.